Hi everyone, let's talk about Space Base. Remember, there's an entire playthrough of the game, probably linked in the description somewhere, that you can check out before you listen to me ramble on. But anyway, this is a really nice kind of, if you've played Machikoro, this kind of, the active player rolls the dice, everyone gets something, and we are building up our tableaus, hoping to get more and more powerful throughout the game. It's that basic concept, but this game kind of, it elevates it, it adds more options to it. Machikoro is a fantastic gateway game, but yeah, there doesn't end up, for us anyway, there wasn't that much shelf life in it, and we kind of moved on to other things. And I think this, the amount of different powers and interactions between the cards, and the kind of unique nature that you are not just you're not just adding to the cards in, say, Machikoro, where it will get more and more powerful when you activate a 3. You've got loads of that building now, so it's all going to chain off. I really like this system of you are losing a card, but potentially gaining something in its passive ability. And you can really rely on numbers in that same way as Machikoro. You can keep trying to replace your 3, for example, and then when someone ends up rolling the 3, and it's not your turn, fantastic, I'm going to get all of these points, all of these powers are going to start chaining off. Yeah, it is really nice building your ship in that way. It's definitely a different way to think about it, and yeah, there are loads of different interactions and various powers that you can have in this game. And yeah, the size of the decks that are remaining that we didn't even get through show that there is a lot of different cards that will come out. You probably won't see a lot of the same ones in the same game. Not to say that they're all unique, a lot of them are just giving you money or just giving you points in different amounts. But yeah, the ones that will let you swap cards around are nice, that will let you just take cards, the more powerful ones later on. There's one that, I think it's a level 3 card, I don't know if I can find it quickly, that it needs a lot of charges. Here we go. In a 2-player game, it needs 5 charges. If you can get those 5 charges, and it needs to be a 12 to activate it, you win. But in one of our games, I had concocted it. I was doing really, really well with with whatever system that I'd come up with. But then I saw this was in there, and then there was a card that lets you swap your 12 and your 1, or something like it let you swap your 12 with something really common. I thought, well, if I could swap the 12 with something really common and really chain this off, it would be really fun to win with this card instead. I suppose someone could get really lucky and get this early on. Well, you couldn't get it too early on because it's a level 3 card, but someone could keep getting it and just roll a 12 every time on their turn. But that's something that's, yeah, there's going to be an inherent amount of luck, isn't there, in a game that uses dice as a central mechanism, and you don't really get to manipulate the dice in any way. You are at the mercy of them, but you do end up building up powers that, when you want to, you can activate the thing on the left, so you can end up, you can chain those as well. So you could, in theory, you could have this card on your 12, and then if you got really, really lucky, have every single card having an arrow pointing to this one so that it goes off no matter what you roll. It's very unlikely that that would happen. But yeah, there's a lot of potential for you coming up with these crazy little combinations between things. And I imagine with expansions and things in the future, AEG tend to do that with their games. So yeah, I imagine that there are going to be more and more and more cards linked to it. The colonies are a nice little extra to think about as well, in that you are you're freezing a number forever now. It's only ever going to do that. You're never going to build up its passive ability in the future. You might be limiting yourself to what you can buy if you get too many colony cards. But on the upside, as the game starts to turn to the side when, okay, we've kind of got our engines, now we want to be focusing on points to keep up with everyone else, the colony cards are really, really good for that. The system of spending all of your money when you buy a card is quite nice as well, because you kind of think, I really want this one that only costs 7, but I've got 15 money, I should just buy something from the 3s, or I should buy a colony card, because otherwise it's wasting that. I like that part to it. The income, though, as nice as that is to kind of escalates the game towards the end. Hopefully you've built up some income, and it will maybe let players catch up a bit, but it will mean that you don't have as long to save up to get to these special cards. You don't have to rely on rolling a really special 11 or 12 that you've bought, or wait several turns to buy a card. The income will give you that leg up to be able to get there. But it has happened to us where early on, I kept rolling high numbers and wasn't really buying anything to start with, and got my income, not insanely high, but I got it to 4 or 5 or something. And so every turn, just like whether I've rolled, if I haven't rolled something, I'll definitely take something from the one row because it's free essentially. And if I rolled a couple of gold, I could take something from the two, and then chaining that with a few income things, I had such an insane amount of income that I could just buy a 3 every round from not too far into the game. It wasn't right at the beginning, but yeah, I suppose that's kind of maybe an edge case. We haven't played it enough to know how common that is, but that was definitely a kind of sour point to the game that, oh, it didn't feel particularly good for me that I was getting all of these powerful cards because, well, I haven't really... I'm not really giving Rachel a chance with this, and obviously she wasn't too pleased with it because, yeah, I was just left to run away with it while she was still in the more normal circumstance of building everything up over time. Yeah, it might just be something that happened to us, but yeah, it definitely made us question the income side of things, if you get lucky and manage to roll it, I suppose. So there is another game, though, called Valeria Card Kingdoms that, in quite a different way, takes the central Magicaro idea and goes further with it. And I do like that a lot more than Space Base. It might be down to the fact that you are building up resources in that, and in the same way, you roll it, everybody gets something. It's more Magicaro in the sense that you are building up cards and you can have several of the same one, and they do different things on the cards depending on whether it's your turn or someone else's turn. But you are, building up things to be able to fight creatures, and that you can have majority bonuses for different creatures in that. Standard things where people are just activating over dice, and then if you can get the right combination of those cards, you have access to landmark cards that can be special powers throughout the game or can give you big boosts in victory points. That's had an expansion now, but even without that expansion, I felt like there was more going on and more that interested me anyway in Valeria Card Kingdoms. And maybe it's, like, I don't particularly prefer fantasy over sci-fi or anything like that, but yeah, the kind of feel of the game, I wasn't really bothered about building up a fleet of ships. Maybe that's just me. It just kind of felt like, yeah, just whatever. Whichever one's got the nice symbols on it, the names and everything. It could have been anything. I wasn't particularly bothered. Whereas in Valeria, I do like that I'm building up this kind of kingdom and this collection of ragtag rogues to help me out. So yeah, for us anyway, Valeria Card Kingdoms is still at the top of the Machikaro-esque games. I'm sure there's a name that's been coined that I don't know about. But yeah, Space Base has definitely got its own unique things going on. And yeah, the playthrough's there, though. Who cares what I think? I never like it when I have to make a hasty cut like that. I forgot to mention this bit. The rulebook as well, it's quite simple to learn the game because there's not a lot going on in the actual structure of a round, for example. A lot of the complications and the things to find out are in the different cards and how they interact with each other. And the rulebook is fairly big for the level of the game. And it goes into detail about, okay, this card does this symbol means this, but it's kind of, you are left kind of having to assemble these different instructions to figure out what one card does. Okay, it's this symbol which is on this page, and then I'll go over to this other section. Oh, they talked about that symbol here. It would have been nice to just kind of, you could vaguely go over some of the symbols maybe, but it would have been fantastic to have just a glossary of the cards themselves. I know that there's a lot of them, maybe that's not feasible, but even if it was just online or something, to be able to just look up a card in a list and see what it does would have been far better than having to, yeah, navigate the rulebook. It's not every card. A lot of the cards are obvious what they do, but it definitely held us back, especially in the very first game. It definitely made things drag on a little bit more, that we had to look up for things and kind of you try and look things up on Board Game Geek, which is never a good sign straight away from the rulebook. Or we were having to piece things together ourselves, which, yeah, it's not ideal. It's not a huge thing, but yeah, that maybe there's somebody's done that on Board Game Geek by now that would be worth having. But it would have been nice for it to have been in the game from the start. But anyway, I have gone on for long enough. That is Space Base. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you for the next game. Bye.